straight cruising, headed for a bruising, watching out for number one. You gotta slow down and look around you, son. Today is just today and not tomorrow. Where you're going, you can rest your head. Where you're going, brightness looks big. Where you're going, truth cannot be hid. You gotta get going. Easy now. You gotta get going. Easy now.
Well, I've made some progress on a few ideas I have for projects. If you've been following along, you'll know that the creativity hasn't been flowing as easily as it has in the past, and I felt a bit in a state of wonderment in my positive spin, wondering what I should do. I do have projects on the go, but I've really just been drawn to working on my knitting. The weather hasn't helped because it's been super rainy over the weekends when I've been home, and I've just been cozy with my book and wanting to work with wool. So, as you saw this past weekend, I have put some time into an original idea I had for the Bilbo vest that I had completed a prototype on a couple weeks ago. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that and how I've springboarded into another project. But before I do that, I just want to thank all of you who contribute financially and support this project. The administration, hosting fees, travel, equipment, my time. I deeply appreciate it. I do think it adds a lot of value and enriches my own skill sets. So whether that's through Patreon or through coffee, thank you so much. If you've left a comment, liked, or subscribed over on YouTube, thank you for that. I know that it helps create traction around the programming and helps to disperse it further afield. And if you are commenting or saying hello on the other platforms where I post, you can see a free version of this vlog ad-free over at fibertrek.wordpress.com. Thank you for that. I am very grateful. It's very humbling and encouraging, and it's really important for me to say that here. So on that note, what have I been doing with this project? You saw that I worked on cutting up all of the wool remnants that I had gotten from Beyond Measure, and thank you to whoever left that as a comment. I picked these up from a shop in the UK. You can order remnants, and they kind of base it on a color profile. And I was inspired from Kate of the Last Homely House and her blanket project that she did, and I think she also did a curtain project for her cabin. And I have set a link down below because her videos are really cozy, they're really instructional, they're really inspiring. It's kind of the whole package of what I turn to for content. It's just really touching, sincere, authentic. Kate of the Last Homely House, definitely should check her out. And a while back, as I said, she had used these types of remnants to create some projects. And when I saw Lorna of Thread and Stitch had published the Bilbo vest and had done a patchwork version, I kind of put two and two together, and I wanted to do a wool patchwork version of her pattern, the Bilbo vest. I did a prototype with some quilting that I did myself. It's in a linen and cotton fabric, and it does have quilting batting between. And I'm thinking for this project, what I would like to do is create the panels out of the patchwork wool and then use an old flannel sheet just to give it a bit of structure and to kind of help the wool maybe not be so fragile isn't the right word, but susceptible to pulling or etc. So I think what I'll end up doing is then using some linen on the inside and then hand stitching along the seams for kind of a basic geometric pattern, which is what Kate of the Lost Homely House did. So I've kind of leaned into her original projects because this is the first time that I've really worked with wool fabric on a garment and combined quilting. So I really, I was just kind of looking for a foundation before I was like, oh, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So that's my plan right now for the Bilbo vest in these wool scraps. It's really a pleasure to work with the fabrics, the different colors, placement. I had definitely a moment where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut this up. So will it end up as a blanket? Maybe. But anyway, it's just really beautiful and I am delighting in the process and the materials. And so the outcome, the project is kind of far off in the distance as I just sink in to where I'm at with this wool project. But this got me thinking about some other things, and those are my antique quilts. I have two quilts which are falling apart. They have portions that are intact, but some of them are losing the binding, and some of them, pieces of the patchwork have come out. So I did some research and I found a pattern called the Coast Coat, and I think what I'm going to do is take some of those quilts and upcycle them into some jackets. I have enjoyed wearing a quilted coat that I picked up to travel to Italy with quite a bit, and I'm just thinking that would be a great use for those materials. Really can't use them, and I have quite a few of them, and it would be nice to have an everyday item. And then of course you can use the scraps for a Bilbo vest or etc. So there's some experimentation happening with upcycling the quilts, but inspired by the Bilbo vest and the wool. So that's kind of where my mind is right now when it's not kind of grounded in my knitting. I will be putting together a video on my summer plans. I have started to pull books down to look at. It will include natural dye. I would love to do an upcycled quilt, well, not upcycled, but I would love to create fabric with my cyanotypes and then create a coat, a quilted coat out of that, maybe some surface design. So I've pulled down Forage and Stitch by Carolyn Hyde. I'll just take a look, she's right here. Yeah, Carolyn Hyde Brown. I have pulled out some quilting books. I've just tried to start, gathering some inspiration that way because I'm not feeling, I don't have the initiative to start projects or get materials out or put things together. So I'm really trying to just rein it back in and go back to the source of some of the excitement that I had the last summer. Also pulling out some of my encaustic stuff. So I think that's really going to be what frames up the summer. Natural dyeing, surface design, cyanotypes, and caustic. So I'm really starting to pull that together. I do have a couple quilt projects for others that I need to get started. Actually just one that I'd like to get started. So I've started to compile ideas for that. And I have continued to work on my Japanese taupe quilt for myself, which is mostly hand stitching. So that kind of rounds out the other elements of my creative endeavors before we talk about knitting. I'm really, like I said, feeling the end of the year pressure. I have a lot going on even next year that I can anticipate. So I've really put a lot of problem solving, and creative thought into my professional work. It's been just demanding. And I'm finding more and more that coming home and my knitting is very restful for that. So hopefully the summer will reinvigorate the creative and problem solving I have for these other ventures, and we'll see how that goes. The other thing that I've reinvested myself in is my health and working on establishing weightlifting routines and different types of food, making a lot of my food from scratch. You'll probably see some of that this summer. I'm kind of interested in creating and making my own everyday dairy items like cottage cheese. I've made yogurt in the past. Could I do that again? Just have it there. My own cream cheese, my own mozzarella. So there's some cheese making dairy stuff potentially happening in the summer. And I'm just trying to frame up, I know I use that word a lot, frame up everything so it becomes routine and it's not just a constant research base. So when my mind is wandering and wondering, that's kind of where it's at. So I've put my attention in a couple different baskets. So hopefully those routines will be established and I'll feel more at liberty to pull everything out and have all of this creative flow. So that's the tale of the studio and what I've been up to in here. I have some fun wildlife trail camera from over the winter and spring that I thought would be fun to share with you. So I'm gonna give you a little rest in that, with some night lapse, some music, see what we were able to capture in the North Woods here. And then I'll be back with you to talk to you about my knitting. Enjoyed that little glimpse into the wild world, just a few hours north of us. I just like to see what's happening and know that, I'm sitting on my couch knitting while, this snowshoe hare is running around and the fisher. And I feel like it's a bit of, see, apparently wonder is the word of the episode. It does inspire a lot of wonder in me. So speaking of sitting on a couch and knitting, I have been working on the Pagan sky. I have finished one sleeve and I'm almost done the color work on the second sleeve, and then I will continue down and do a kind of gathered bind off at the bottom, similar to what I did to my Metropolitan pullover. So I have literally just knit the sleeves straight. I've done no decreases, and when I got to the cuff, I just knit every stitch together, which kind of created a little bit of gathering. So there is a little bit of romantic puff at the end for this, which I thought was appropriate. Why I really wanted to bring up this project is because on the second sleeve, I have employed a new to me technique, which I learned from my friend Sophia Carlson of Sophia's Tales, and it is Ladderback Jacquard. I did not use it on the initial sleeve. There are large portions of this chart and in the underarm of the sleeve where you're just carrying your contrast color over large portions of stitches. And typically I will just carry my yarn. I don't always catch my floats, and I'll go up to 11 stitches, and especially on the yoke portions of sweaters. But in the sleeve area, you know, you're pushing your arm through. I'm using Plotalopi for this project, and so there is a little bit of a delicacy about the floats at the moment, and it's a narrower amount of circumference than the chest. And these are, you know, we're talking like 30 stitches in between the use of your contrast color. So on the first sleeve, I just trapped my floats by twisting it together in the back, and I was not happy with the outcome. I'm sure once it's blocked, it will relax a lot of that tension that happens when you're twisting the yarns together. But you can see the cream wool through the brown in some areas, at least I can, and it really bothers me. So after I finished that and I kind of got over my disappointment with the overall look, I decided to employ the Ladderback Jacquard to the second, and I'm much happier with the result. And you can see that what happens on the Ladderback is you kind of build a fabric behind your main fabric, I guess you could say, by creating this Ladderback, and it does help with tension and keeping your floats nice and neat. You can add in a ladder wherever you need it. So I not only had ladders going in the underarm portion of the design, but I also had ladders going in the actual colorwork design, because in this chart there is, as I said, quite a few rows where you might just be using the contrast color one time for each repeat, and so now you're like 30 stitches in between repeats. So I would highly recommend adding this technique to your repertoire if you enjoy kind of knitting some of these more organic charts. I think this would be perfect for the knitted Kalevala Salalu sweater that I did, because there were lots of parts where, you know, again, one contrast color, 30 stitches, one contrast color, you know, that kind of repeat. And it's not really until I did the Salalu and this particular sweater where I really had to think about that particular technique. So the Ladderback came at just the right time, and I can see it having many applications. It's been a while since something novel has struck me like this. I mean, I've done brioche, I've done intarsia, I've done color work, I've done cables, I've done lace. I've been knitting for over 25 years. And so I've solved a lot of problems, done a lot of research to solve those problems. I've ripped out entire cables and re-knit them. I've, ripped back color work. I've, so there's a lot out there that I've had an opportunity to try out, perfect my own skill within those realms. But the Ladderback is something that I was like, wow, it was wonderful. That's my word, I guess. I was full of wonder with how easy, how novel, how helpful this particular skill was. So I would recommend, I learned this from Sophia's class notes, and she taught me, so that was a really helpful workshop that she did. I'm sure that there's tutorials online or in books. So Ladderback, Jacquard, take a look at that and see if it applies to any of your projects, or if you are thinking about color work, getting into color work, trying out color work, this could be something that you want to have ready in your back pocket to employ, especially managing those long floats without building up a ton of tension or twisted bulk behind the actual color work. So the Pagan Sky coming in with a brand new skill for me. Wonderful. Thank you, Pagan Sky, and thank you, Sophia, for bringing that technique to my attention. I continue to work on the Agnes kofta, and I'm working on the body. I have Dreams and Thoughts About My Yell by Marie Wallen in Spindrift. The kofta is in Rauma Fiedelgarn, and yeah, I'm all here for the knitting. I saw that Gudrun Johnston released 2 new vests, the Audrey and Unst vest and the Sephardi vest, or Faraday vest, for the upcoming Woolly Thistle vest along. Her colorwork vest, Sephardi, is just really stunning. I put it in my queue. I almost purchased a kit to do it. I was like this close, and I thought, nope, just hold on. As the Woolly Thistle is selling kits. There is kind of a warm palette, which is I think what Gudrun originally knitted in, and then there's kind of a blues and rose pinks and like a lighter silver palette, which was really attractive to me. So I might go through my Spindrift collection and Jameson's and Smith collection to see if I have the right contrasting colors, and then just buy a background. So we'll see. But I was very intrigued and inspired by both of those releases. I would highly recommend you check them out. Gudrun did release a couple tutorials for those patterns, one on picking colors, and she did just release a vlog about the designs. And I do also the Woolly Thistle, on one of their latest episodes, they get a chance to sit down and talk with Gudrun about those designs. So it's out there. I would, if you're looking for a little afternoon cup of something and some knitting, check out the discussion around those vests. So that kind of caught my eye. I've been thinking about that, but I have stalwart. I want to finish the Pagan Sky sleeve. I'm thinking about Annie, my niece, and her Ridari in the Fialopi. And yeah, so I am committed to getting the body done on my Agnes kofta as well before I cast it on another sweater. Sweater dinner, that's what I love to do. I think that's really what's been happening in my life. I do have plans to attend the Fiber Frolic, which is May 31st and June 1st at the Windsor Fairgrounds, and I'm hoping to connect with my friend Patricia of Tidal Yarns, but I'll have a bit of a wander around. And if there are those of you that are attending and you want to kind of centralize a place to meet up, I will talk to Patricia and see if I can be at her booth. On that note, I think I'm going to bid you a fond farewell. I hope this finds you in good spirits. Many fond wishes and blessings. Take care. Bye.